This morning, sun kissed my face. Grab my coffee, life's a fast-paced race. I know. I put on my shoes, but no stops or waste. Headed out the door, no stress, no stress. I'm feeling good now. For my groove and sake, a brand new day just let begin. Easy Monday motivation. All about who knows what to do. Feels good. No time to slow it down. We keep moving to the sound. Easy Monday motivation. Feeling the rhythm, it's deep in my soul. Fantastic energy got me in control. Oh, hear the beat drop, you know we won't stop. Trust the process, climb me to the top, the top. In the air, so I need some more. Each step forward. Easy Monday motivation. We touch new ground, positive. My body that's on one, drawn by feel deep line. Easy Monday motivation. We are all about something to do and get the feels good. No time to slow it down. We keep moving to the sound. Easy Monday motivation.
All right. Welcome everybody to Easy Monday Motivation. It is your homeboy E. I am so happy to be here with you. This is a pre-recorded episode. I know you guys are getting a little bit accustomed to us being live, and we do miss you, and we want to be there with you. But we do have some schedule conflict, and Monday is a holiday, so there's some things we want to be able to do. So we're bringing it to you a little pre-recorded, and we're actually doing it a little late. I asked the crew to stay up a little bit late because we have a special guest today. And we had to work around some time constraints. You know, CT's not feeling too good, so I feel bad for pulling the chocolate drop out of the wrapper.
I'm fine.
All right.
Okay.
I'll be fine for the next hour or so. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
After that, then I'll go get my rest. I'm good.
Okay, all right, and I know right now is probably bonnet time for Johnny Mali, so I know I'm probably gonna be getting my butt whooped.
Oh, bonnet.
I'm just saying. So, but it's great to be here with you guys. You know, it's always a great time. CT, I want to come to you, man. How's it been, man? I mean, you've been going through a lot of transition, a lot of stuff is going on. And I know you're very excited about it. So, but I want to see what's going on, man. What's going on with you?
Hey, you know, the excitement is in the air. There's an anxious anticipation for what's fitting to happen. I said fitting. Yeah, I got my southern words out there. What's fitting to happen. And you know, I'm 2 days from officially launching Core Inclusive Consulting LLC to the world. We got the new website that's launching. We got the new logo that came out. So you're going to start seeing some drips here and there for the next couple of days. And then we're off and running. And so new coaching clients, new corporate clients, new opportunities to allow me to be the very best version of me with no filter. And you thought I was okay before. Wait until tonight, girl. I mean, wait until we get this thing off, ready and popping. And so I'm in a great mood. Melanie, shout out to Mel. She got herself something a little new on the horizon for her too. And so listen, God is opening up doors. I mean, windows. The sky is the limit. So it's amazing. Really excited about what is happening next. And so listen, we're here, we're in it. I'm excited for this conversation today because our guest is a superstar. Like, I'm surprised. I hope that when the person comes on, like the shine that is from off of them can be housed. But we'll see what happens. And hopefully y'all excited about him too. That person too. I won't give it away yet. But I'm just glad to be with y'all again. By the way, I went and rewatched last week's episode, and what I've got to tell you is we must do more together. I'm just saying. I'm just more together.
Have to.
That was the most epic and ridiculous time ever, and it is the seeds for season 4. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there for all of y'all to know. And by the way, my mama listened to the show, y'all. She texted me talking about so you got into the candy, Christopher. Look, I'm for 40 years post that, and I'm still getting in trouble. But that's just me. So I'm good. Good
you can always get in trouble. You can always catch those mama hands, okay? No matter how old you are.
I thought I was clear. I was saying it out loud, like I'm okay. I'm okay. My mom texted me. I'm like, oh wait a minute. I was like, no, I was like, whatever.
No, you know what? Now y'all already know the mother of King of Chaos watches the podcast, and she knows that if I was still a candy, she would just be like, well, yeah, he stole candy. There's nothing. I'm not coming after him after that. No, because I know that if I try, he may do something to escalate it. Like, you really are being that petty, Mom? Okay. And I would find some way to be like, let's up the ante, because I love you that much. You must love me to do that. I don't know. Maybe that's just the sick person in me. Maybe, maybe it's not. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm normal. Maybe I'm not. But Joni, I got to ask you, how have you been? I know that a lot going on. My buddy Ace, I heard he was being trained. So I wanted to ask, how has his training been going since the last time we've had a conversation? What's going on?
Ace is a little angel. I'm telling y'all. I tried to
tell you. Wait. Before you go, why do you always look away when you say? You literally have a tail, and you always look away when you say. Like, Ace is an angel, and like you.
No, well, I wasn't trying to. The way that my screen is set up, like I take a glance.
Yeah, you want to try it again?
It's like her bank account. Go ahead.
You said what?
Just like your bank account. So where my bank account is set up. Is that one of them? Is that what you was doing? No.
Okay. He really is. He's really good. He's really good. My best friend came over yesterday, and he didn't act crazy. I'm telling y'all, he's a new dog. He's a whole new dog. So life is good over here at the Easterling house. Other than I didn't realize like how chocolate labs can mess up your allergies. So it ain't good over here. But other than that, it's birthday week. I am traveling this weekend. Me and my daughter are going to go see Usher in concert. So I am pumped. That's all I care about this week.
I've heard about the Usher concerts, though. I've heard about y'all. Be far enough away.
That's where I'm going.
Tell Terry. I'm telling Terry. Stay.
I'm going. What I tried to tell you, I'm grown, CT. I tried to tell you.
I don't know what that translates to, but I'm not even gonna ask to speak womanese with you. Just be like, I'm grown. Like,
I'm grown. Okay.
As a man, I literally want to use that phrase in all the most inappropriate times, just because you told me that it's an appropriate way to live my life. I can just say I'm grown.
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. All right, cool. It is your birthday.
I know he's not around.
Hold up. What makes you think that he's not around? I know Terry well enough to know that Terry got GPS. He got low jack on you. Like, that man. Listen, that man already got a couple seats bought next to y'all seats.
Today is Sunday. It's football. That's what he's doing. He don't care about nothing else. And Terry don't play with planes. So the last thing he would be doing is getting on the plane and sitting next to us to go see us.
On the plane. That's a road trip. I mean, Terry drove to the concert. He gonna there. You gonna get Terry. He be in the seats next to y'all. Y'all gonna be like, really? You be like, what? Y'all didn't invite me.
Great time.
Yo, E, if Joni start off next week talking about my confessions, like, now then we know it was a good concert. That's how we gonna know if it was a good concert.
Hey,
yeah, I can't wait.
Hey, listen. All I want you to do is send me I have one favor.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily a concert goer, because I guess I really am not the person who's like, I really want to see you live, right? Yeah. Because the quality of music is so much better from like CDs and all the other stuff. Like, so seeing you live sometimes could be a disappointment. That, and sometimes you go in there and people develop BO over the course of a concert. Have you ever been somewhere and be like, why is it getting funkier in here? Then it's not a Parliament concert.
Anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, but that's like I try to avoid that.
Anywhere.
But I'm also not like a major fan of anybody like that, to where I'm gonna actually spend money to go to a concert. Like I'd go to like a group event with a bunch of things, because like that'd be like a collective, but I wouldn't be like, oh, so J. Cole is into. I'm like, all right, cool, J. Cole's here. Sweet.
Yeah.
Now, if there was like this collective thing where I could buy one ticket and go do a whole bunch of stuff, and I happen to get to watch J. Cole, I would go. So that's just me, though.
I get it. I totally get that. I wouldn't want to just go to a concert just for like I know people who just like concert hop. They go to all. That's not me at all. It depends on the person. So this one, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Okay.
I may not come back. I may not come back.
You know what? Terry heard
last EMM episode.
Terry heard you. Terry heard you say that too. Because you know what? Terry heard you. I just want you to know that
I ain't gonna tell you what Terry would say to that.
What? You ain't got to tell us. I mean, you're recording it. He's gonna find out. This is how fun this is. This is why we do this.
Terry, just for the first 5 to 7 minutes of the show. That's it. Just listen to the first half, and you good. You good.
Yeah.
Now give him like the first there. Yeah. I'd say 10 minutes, and then just go. Start driving, Terry. Just start driving.
Start driving after that.
Yeah, drive out there, buy your ticket, drive out there, show up to the concert. Okay, just like I said. I'm gonna just buy a ticket. I'm driving myself. Just because I just want to see. I just want to be there. Nah, we're not gonna ruin your birthday, Queen. We're gonna let you go out there and have your fun and enjoy Usher. You can usher in a new birthday with your daughter, because I know this right here is something that you've never really done with her, to be able to go take her in this more of a adult situation and really go out there and be women in the world and show her how to kind of carry herself. So it's a very important thing, because right now, to the conversation I know we're gonna have, you're feeding your daughter something new.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That is very important to her growth in her perception of herself in this world. So I definitely want to make sure that we don't skip over the importance of you creating that experience. Me, I'm fine, guys. Everything's been good. I mean, I just came back from Miami. I'm tired. I'll just be honest. Like, I've been busy. I know, like, I'm sorry. No, but like, I've been very busy from the point of like, traveling to Miami. I was in leadership training earlier in the week. So like, I literally spent like a few moments focused on any one thing outside of like bouncing around doing a bunch of stuff. And, that becomes very taxing mentally and physically. And then when I got back late on Friday. And then I had an event, a Scotch with E event. I had to build a bar for a birthday party. That thing I've been telling you guys about happened this weekend. So it went off without a hitch. It was a fun time. It was great. You know what I'm saying? So, that means Saturday I was super busy, trying to make sure all of those things got covered for. It was beautiful. The birthday girl and the husband were happy. My bartenders did a wonderful job. Shout out to Danielle and Kayla. Thank you guys for holding it down for Scotch with D. I look forward to working with you ladies again in the future. The fish tank is on Need Some Love. Just gonna be honest, like need some love. Yeah, I wasn't home, so need some love. Little wax on, wax off. And then Lemmy is looking really good. Lemmy's gotten a lot of new growth going over here, so I'm really happy with Lemmy overall. So I'm outside of that, I got another event that I'm looking forward to, working with a personal friend of ours, for Friendsgiving. And as I laid out the menu, we were going over it today. And as I was laying out the menu, man, like I was just salivating at all of the food combined. And while I was in Miami, I had a chance to sit down with somebody and kind of talk more about my business and like to think about how much I can make people hungry just with words and then actually deliver with the meals. I know that is a God-given gift that I should not continue to squander and not play with, and I need to share it, and I need to be more focused, and I need to refine my techniques, and I need to take my craft serious. So, like, I'm dialed in, y'all. Like, CT has lit a fire in me to kind of make me be more focused on the things that I know I should be. So, shout out to my man, the Chocolate Drop CT, for making it happen.
That's what's up.
Out here trying to inspire people to think differently. You know what I'm saying? Like we got one life. We got one life. Tomorrow isn't promised. So it's enough for us to, sit around and talk about a thing. It is when we finally put our hands to do the thing I was on I may have mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but a guy said to me, he said, action cures fear. And most of the time people don't do something because they're afraid of it. He said the very best thing you could ever do to yourself is do the thing you're afraid of. Like they'll say, do it afraid. And what I took from that was like, wait a minute, for me, from a faith-based perspective, fear is the thing that fuels my faith. So I know I'm in faith when I have fear. So I feel real good right now because I got some stuff that I don't know how to do. There is some fear around that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that means I'm supposed to be doing this. So I'm encouraging any and everybody who wants to take the leap, the jump, the hop, the skip, whatever it might be, to think about or do something different. It's the right place to be. So excited for you, E. Excited for you,
Very
E.
excited.
Well, thank you guys. And with that, I want to hip hop and hip to the hip to hip the hop and don't stop the bop into the conversation that we was gonna have today. And it's all about what we feeding each other and what we are being fed. So I want to kind of like bring this conversation to a very strong point to outline it, and then we're gonna jump in and dice it up. So when I talk about what we are feeding and what we're being fed, I want to go into a couple of avenues. First, I do want to kind of touch on just the concept of food and how we can conceptualize food as many different things and how we can ingest it. And then we're going to go into different subjects in that. And then we're also going to talk about how we give things that people feed off of. And it doesn't necessarily have to fall into the category of what is considered food. This could be influence, right? This could be other types of precipitating and non-precipitating factors that people can impose upon your life, or in some way ripple effect, butterfly effect to you. So, and then those things help to alter the way we make changes and choices in our lives, right? So it's important to know what we're being fed and how we're being fed and what we're feeding people to, because those people around us can be poisoned by the things that we are choosing to put into them. So with that conversation, in that preface it said it, I want to also add to the conversation a guest that I want to bring on. And I had the privilege of meeting this brother in person many times, but like not able to really sit down. And we got to sit down. And guys, when I say that, the man said that I had the Suge Knight energy. I kind of laughed at it because I know sometimes when I sit at a table with people, it can get pretty Suge real fast. And I get it. Like, you know, I'm a very gentle, giant type, loving guy, but like I'm passionate, man. I am. And this man is also passionate about, you know, a lot of the things that have inspired a lot of people, because he's been impactful in many communities. You know, he's a mover and shaker. He's been all across the world. You know, he's connected people to many resources, and that is one of his talents. And one of the things that he's going to be talking to us today about is one of his other talents, which is writing. He's a new author. He's going to be releasing a book next year. So I want to bring on to the conversation, welcome EMM family, our good friend Justin Grant. Can we bring him on?
Yeah.
What up?
What's going on, Justin? How you doing, brother?
Hey, it's good to see y'all. Good to be with y'all.
Yeah, I know you were backstage, so you got to watch a little bit of how we just do the thing. I know you probably back there laughing like, "Oh, they clowns. We're about to jump in here. It's all a little Lions Den conversation type things, but we have so much fun. So thank you for being here, brother. Thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate y'all bringing me on. I love the energy. I love the vibe, and you know, it's a blessing just to be in y'all presence right now.
No, thank you. So I know I front loaded the conversation and the things that we will talk about. First, I want to come to you and I want to give you a little bit of opportunity to tell people who you are, you know, who Justin Grant is, what his focus is. And first, you know, I want to play into it and be like, so tell us what you got to talk about with this book you got coming out. And when's the book coming out? Let's go.
So, you know, I do a little bit of community work, invested in the community, both professionally, you know, and I do philanthropic stuff on the personal front. But then I'm also an author. I'm a former journalist and I have a book that's coming out next year called Company Men, a wellness guide for Black men in corporate America. And, you know, I was inspired to write this book for a variety of reasons. You know, I've been in corporate America for 20 plus years now, including my intern years. And, you know, corporate America is hard. it's hard to make a living in corporate. You know, you can make a good salary, you can get the benefits and all that comes with that. But no matter what your background is, whether you're black, white, whatever, male or female, it comes with its own unique challenges. And when you're a black man, those challenges are very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for me, the journey to publishing this book, it actually started on December 29th, 2002. And that was the day that, as far as I'm concerned, Superman died, right? Juan Simpson, my uncle, he was the CFO at one of Johnson & Johnson's pharmaceutical companies, passed away of a heart attack at the age of 48 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a shock because he was a healthy dude.
Mm-hmm.
He was a handsome dude. He was charismatic. You know, he looked so much like Denzel Washington that before Denzel blew up, he asked my aunt out on a date. And she was like, nah, you look too much like my little brother. I can't go out with you. That's how handsome my uncle was. You know, he was the man.
Okay.
You know, he was fit. He tried out for the Mets. Well, no, he didn't try out. He was invited to try out for the Mets, and he turned it down. He didn't want a career in pro sports with all the travel.
Yeah.
And he wound up, you know, going the Johnson & Johnson route. He was a finance guy. And he was, you know, that North Star. You know, a lot of black families have that one uncle or that one male figure, and he was that figure for us. And he was the guy that always held me accountable. And he was the guy that I aspired to be. You know, when I was coming up, you know, brothers that I ran the streets with either wanted to play ball because they looked up at brothers that could play ball, or they, you know, went the drug dealing route, being candid with you.
Yeah.
And I had my uncle. So I'm like, man, I don't need to be able to run the 40 in 40 seconds or have a jump shot, although I did have a jump shot. I don't need to be able to spit rhymes. I don't need to sling crack rocks. All I got to do is hit the books, and then I can earn the money and the house and the car and the clothes and all that come with it. You know, he was my North Star. And, you know, when he passed, I obviously I was devastated, and I've spent much of the past 20 years trying to make sense of why that happened. And, you know, there might have been genetic factors at play, of course. You know, I can't know the full story there, but after experiencing corporate America for 20 years as a black man, I have a sense of what he might have been dealing with. You know, he was in the corporate world at a time when there was even less diversity in the C-suite than, you know, there is now. Or I have it the other way around, right? It was less diverse back then than it is now.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's in that rare air, that lonely air. And, you know, it's a mind trip, right? You know, when you're one of the lonely onlys in these corporate spaces, you know, because you're essentially doing two jobs, right? Unlike our white peers. And, you know, I'm not calling them out just, you know, for race or anything like that. You know, it's just, these are the circumstances that we've been dealt. Right? These are the cards that we've been dealt.
Yeah, it's the truth.
But, you know, unlike our white peers, we have to do two jobs, right? We have to do the job we've been hired to do. And then we have to do that second job of putting on that character to fit in. And, you know, there's a duality to American life when you're black. And, you know, W.E.B. Du Bois, he talked about that in his book. You know, it came out in 1903, Souls of Black Folk.
Yeah.
And he talked about that double consciousness that black people must have in this country, right? Because we are American, 100%.
100%.
And we want to be respected as Americans, just as anybody else. This is our country, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So black. And, you know, we have to contort ourselves. And, you know, for me, my own personal experience coming up, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from pre-gentrification, Brooklyn, New York. And, you know, I'm a schoolboy type dude. I was in the books, but I had to contort myself to be able to walk down the street. right? I had to put on a certain pose
Mm.
to keep myself safe, to have respect, where I'm from, right? You had to be able to throw your hands. You had to be able to shoot a jump shot. You had to have a certain swag about yourself where I'm from. But then you would take that swag off when it was time to go to school, and you shift into another character when you're in school. Then you graduate from school, and you have to shift into another character when you're trying to do your job.
Yeah.
It's unlike our white peers, because all they have to do is be themselves wherever they are, right? So there's a tax psychologically that comes with doing that type of work. The other piece is, and what I talked about at the Black Enterprise event a couple of days ago, is that Black men have the second lowest life expectancy of any racial demographic in this country.
Yeah.
The only people that live shorter lives than us are our brothers from the Native American / Alaska Eskimo population. We have the second lowest life expectancy. And the other thing that really tripped me out in writing this book and doing the research for the book is that I learned that the higher we climb the socioeconomic ladder as Black men, the more education we get that job, the higher the likelihood that we develop anxiety and depression.
Yes.
And when you have anxiety and depression, it triggers all sorts of downstream health impacts. And we already know from the data that we're statistically more likely to suffer from hypertension, cardiovascular disease, heart disease, any stress-related condition. We're less likely, we're more likely to have to deal with. And the thing that also trips me out, I'm 44 years old now, and you realize that when you die before you reach 65, when you die before you reach that time to collect Social Security, that's lost work.
Yeah.
That's lost wealth, right? That's part of the racial wealth gap, is like a lot of people not living long enough, whether we're rich or poor or whatever, we're not long enough to maximize our earnings and to maximize our wisdom. And in maximizing that wisdom, we're passing that on. So our families lose out, our communities lose out, and our people, loses out. And so with this book, I'm trying to raise awareness among Black men of, especially those of us that work in corporate America. Really, that it's Black men's guide in corporate America, right? I'm trying to make sure that we have a heightened level of sensitivity around how stress can affect your body when you're working in these environments. There are 20 million self-help books aimed at corporate audiences sold every year in this country. And my book is one of the only to focus specifically on Black men, to engage Black men in dialogue. And, part of this is personal for me. So not only did I lose my uncle, but I had some health stuff that happened back in 2021. Nothing serious, right? Think about the pandemic. My doctor retired during the pandemic, and prior to that, I hadn't had a physical in about 2 or 3 years. And so my wife was about to give birth to our third child, and I think in the back of her head, it's like, Negro, you are not dropping me to raise 3 kids. So she was
right. That's
she was
right.
harassing me. She was, yo, Jay, did you schedule your physical yet? Yo, Jay, did you schedule your physical yet? So yeah, babe. I'm gonna get to it,
Okay.
And so one day, I guess she wasn't having it. I'm sitting down at breakfast table, and she hands me the phone, and a woman's voice says, "Hi, this is Summit Medical Group. Would you like to?" So, she put me on the spot. So I scheduled a physical, right?
Yeah.
And
love it.
I'm thinking I'm in shape,
True.
right? Because I'm running 12 miles a week. My times are good. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, ain't nothing wrong with me. And this is pandemic, so there wasn't nowhere to go, nothing to do. And for me, the entertainment back then was, ordering some Uber Eats, right? That was the only fun thing back then. You couldn't see your friends or nobody. So it was, a lot of us gained weight during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And,
Still can't get it off.
they came out with that Popeyes chicken sandwich during the pandemic. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I went to buy that sandwich, and bro, I walk in the restaurant, and you know how like in Miami, Eric, we was just in Miami, you could feel like the water in the air, the humidity.
Yeah.
Except in the Popeyes, you could feel the grease. Yeah, man. You could feel that grease. And I remember, people who worked in there, it was like the grease was all in it. They were walking slow and tired.
Yeah.
Like grease had clogged up their whole essence.
Everything.
Whole essence.
So I get that sandwich, man, and that sandwich was slamming, bro. It was slam, and that was the last junk food I ever ate because I go to the doctor, I get the blood work, and when you turn 40 and you go get your physical, they checking everything. I feel like they took like 7-8 vials of blood. I'm like, what? So then one day after I do the blood work, right before the appointment, I'm in a drive-through at Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
And I ordered my turkey, sausage, egg, and cheese, situation, and ordered my coffee. And then I get the push notification. Oh, your test results are in. And it's like a Chinese water torture, like drip, drip, because every test they send a new push. So I get the one push notification. You're a pre-diabetic. Your A1C is above where it needs to be. I get the next push notification. Your cholesterol, your LDL cholesterol is 140, right? Yeah, that's too high for LDL cholesterol. So I'm like, damn, I can't even enjoy this sandwich. You know what I'm saying?
Dunkin'
And I'm
Donuts.
like, yo, I don't eat so much sugar. So like, how in the hell do I have pre-diabetes? Like,
Yeah.
So I go to the doctor, and he's like, yo, you're still a healthy dude, but like, you're like a car with every check engine light flashing.
Dang. Yeah.
And this is the thing I learned in the book is that Black men are less likely than white men to know what their cholesterol number is, right?
Yeah.
We're less likely to know what our A1C is. I was also diagnosed at that appointment with pre-hypertension. A lot of us are walking around with hypertension. And this is the other thing, bro. You see how I was giving my wife the brush off with making the appointment?
Mm-hmm.
We don't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Most of us don't. And listen, man, this is not like a preachy, judgmental thing. There are historical reasons why we don't like going to the doctor.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
We don't trust doctors.
Yep.
Many of us have reported negative experiences with doctors.
Yep.
Look at how Serena Williams almost died giving birth, because when Black people say they're in pain,
they don't listen.
I mean, there've been studies on this, right? So I'm not beating us up on that, right? There's valid reasons, but too many of us are finding out about health conditions when they're too far gone.
Yeah.
We're finding out about health conditions when we go to the ER, and then we find out stuff. And for me, that was like a kick in the pants. And the thing I appreciate about my doctor, and the thing I would stress to Black men when looking for a doctor, is find yourself a doctor who is going to stress lifestyle changes instead of just writing you a script for medication.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
So what my doctor did.
Yeah.
And my doctor's a white dude. Like, he gives it to me straight. I've built a relationship with him. And he prescribed for me a couple films to watch and a book to read. So the films were Forks Over Knives.
Mm-hmm.
He told me to watch the movie Blue Zones. He told me to watch the Netflix documentary Game Changers, and then he told me to read the book Undo It. And there was a message that he was delivering with all of that content. And it was, my brother, you need to limit the animal fat. You need to eat a lot of veggies, basically try to be 90% plant-based with your diet. We got to eat a lot of fiber. I know veganism ain't for everybody, so I'm not going to tell everybody to be a vegan, but definitely you want to have in your diet greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, seeds, G-bombs. You want color on your plate, that purple cabbage and them bright red tomatoes and you know what I'm saying? And so he said, consume this content, come back and see me in 3 months. And this is the other thing I had to do. You got to lift weights. I was just running. You have to lift weights, because when you lift weights, it's not necessarily about being, the big diesel Morris Chestnut looking dude. That ain't, when you lift weights, it helps your body to get rid of insulin resistance. It improves the way your muscles store and use glucose. And I did this for 3 months straight, right? Focus, 150 minutes minimum of exercise a week, right? 150 minutes a week of exercise. So basically go to the gym for half hour, 30 minutes, 5 times a week. Get your weight lifting in, do your stretching, but definitely work those muscles. Stick to a schedule. I did that for 3 months. I ate the diet. All my numbers normalized in 3 months.
See, now, the crazy thing is, like, there's multiple things that I want to pull out of everything you just said. Because, like, there's so many elements of what you were fed, what you were feeding yourself, and what narratives were being fed to you that made you make certain decisions. And I want to go all the way back to the beginning, where you talk about how your uncle was someone who fed into you a perception of who you could be, right? And then that gave you a projection, right? To go, look at what I'm being taught, look at what I'm around, and I'm consuming a good, positive role model, someone who is showing me something. Like, I'm being fed a personality, a lifestyle, a role model that I can aspire to, right? Not someone who is demeaning you or telling you that you can't be something. Someone who is pouring into you, and therefore you turned around and fed off of it, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you had that, and something like, you got to think about that's important, because him choosing to feed you these things made the difference, because he could have just did all those things and been on his own, and you would have just known of your uncle doing all this stuff that he was doing. But nah, he made sure that you saw him. He wanted you to see who he was and be an example for you. And then you chose, because you, and that's the crazy thing. We could always go left or right. I could always choose to do something that I see or choose not to. You chose to follow what you saw, to consume what he was providing you, what he was feeding into you. And then you grew from that so that you could turn into who you wanted to be and grow into and make choices the way you wanted to. So I want to start there, and then we're going to move further into your conversation about how you were fed and what you were feeding, because then we'll go into how your wife was feeding you and you were refusing to eat, right? Because your uncle was trying to feed you, and you was like, all right, I'm gonna eat all of this, Uncle. And then your wife tried to feed you like, yeah, honey. Because it was almost like she's trying to feed you the vegetables, and Uncle's feeding you the steak. You're like, I'm eating the filet mignon, but I'm not touching the veggies. But I want to come to you, CT, as I frame that up and go, like, what do you think about the importance of those people who are around us feeding us, and us being willing to consume the things that they're feeding us?
Justin, listen, I love the download, man. And when we think about the holistic story that makes us up, we can't forget that there are always individuals who have been presented in our lives, whether it is by choice or by birth, that give us something to eat. And what UE provided us was this idea that Unc fed Justin something that fueled him to be who he is today. But then it moved from what he fed him intellectually to a place that fed him probably spiritually, to, again, what we'll pull the thread on how he had to eat naturally. So we do have a bit of a spirit, soul, body thing going on in our conversation that we're having right now. And so when I think about Justin, I know you talked about Unc, but when you think about the spirit, soul, body, like when you think back as you were coming up, there had to be other people who fed you too, right? Whether it was a sibling, whether it was a teacher, whether it was a basketball coach, because you said you could shoot. I don't know, but you know, that's, you got to show the tapes if you really did it. But like a basketball coach, there are other
I had
people
some game,
who,
man. I had a little bit of
hey,
game.
listen, who fed you. Like who are some of those other influential people who fed into who you are today, which then gave life to this book that you have so honored us to have here coming up soon?
CT, I love that question because there's so many people that fed into me. I think about my grandmother, Constance Simpson. I was late for the taping today because I'm helping my mom and her sisters sell my grandmother's property in Brooklyn. My grandmother, we're from the Lafayette Gardens housing project in Brooklyn. That's where both my mom and my dad grew up. My grandmother got us out of the projects, bought property in Brooklyn, and back in 1983, back when Brooklyn real estate was worth next to nothing, right? And she got us out of the projects into this area, the prime real estate in Brooklyn. And now here we are 40 years later, and I'm helping to sell the property so that my mom and her sisters can gain their inheritance. My grandmother taught me everything I knew about real estate. My grandmother helped me open my first bank account. It's a Citibank account. I still use that account. Bank accounts are sticky. Like once you start, it's hard to unwind. And so she poured into me my knowledge of real estate. And, I think about the mindsets that my children have because of their great grandmother. I'm in the middle now of buying my mom a condo right around the corner from my house in South Orange, New Jersey. And, my son said to her like 2 weeks ago, he said, Abby, you need to buy a condo in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, you need to buy a condo in South Orange or be with us. And I think about my son's mindset of like ownership, owning real estate. That started with my grandmother. The other thing I call out in the book, I talk about why corporate America is marked with mass layoffs and vicious reorgs. And I tell the history of how corporate America came to be. And in telling that story, I share how my grandmother tried to get a job at IBM back in the early 1970s. She had a degree in accounting from Hunter College, and she shows up for the interview at IBM, and the secretary looks her up and down and is like, are you in the wrong place? Like, what are you doing here? It's like, why is this Black woman here of all places to get a job? And she said, no, I've scheduled an interview. And they wound up giving her like a perfunctory interview, just seeing who she was. They weren't going to hire, and it was all about race. It was also about gender. So she was a trailblazer. She eventually landed a job as an internal auditor at the IRS, and she worked there from the mid to late 1970s all the way up into her retirement in the 90s. But she was another example for me, both from the real estate side and also from the career side of what the possibilities are, if you just apply yourself, right? And she did this as a Black woman. So I know the book is actually for men, but I tell the stories of quite a few Black women who inspired me. The other one who inspired me is my wife. I tell the story about how she was at Essence and she was blocked from professional development opportunities at Essence. Her job was to build out the Essence Festival and to build out consumer experiences through the Essence platform to help big brands connect with Black consumers. And so she did that work for about 7 years, but She was blocked from professional development opportunities. She was blocked from getting to senior leadership. So one day she said to me, Jay, I got to go get this MBA. She says to me like a week before the semester starts, yeah, I enrolled in this executive MBA program and I'm taking out a $100,000 loan to do it. All right, go ahead, rock out, you know. And so she does this. She majors in entrepreneurship. She gets the degree after 2 years, and then she launches her own agency. And now here we are 7 years later, and you know they're doing north of $1.5 million in revenues 4 years running. She's got 5 full-time employees.
Yeah.
She's killing it. And I tell the story about how she decided what her North Star goal was and built a roadmap to get there, right? You know, being well, there's a physical component to that, but then there's also, you know, a personal and a professional component to that as well. And so I tell the story about my wife. So, you know, it's my uncle for sure, definitely my grandmother, and definitely my wife as well. You know, she inspired me. Now, you know, I have a North Star direction for my career as well. Because prior to that, I was just, you know, drifting from job to job, applying to stuff on LinkedIn, letting recruiters hit me up, but not really giving thought to, you know, what are those dreams that were put on my heart? What are those talents that I want to use? And it's important that we as Black men engage in that, engage in that thought process, because if you don't, you run the risk of going through life, one day finding yourself as an old man and realizing, yo, you don't get the time back.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And I want to make sure that I pull on some additional points you just made by bringing it over to the queen that would be able to ask those questions as well. Joni, I know like he spoke to his influences and the people who have fed into him. Like I know that it's also important to give back, and Justin is someone that gives back. Joni, I know you're somebody who goes out in the community as well and give back. I would like for you to be able to talk to Justin about some of the things that he's feeding into in the community and things that he's focused in to fostering, because I know that's something that's near and dear to your heart. You have questions around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I could sit here and listen to this all day. This is my jam. This is my speed right here. So I'm loving this. But I want to talk a little bit about, because Justin, you said when you went to the doctor, one of the first things that he did was give you movies, books, documentaries, whatever, to listen to really educate yourself, right? So that kind of makes me think about that too, E, as you're talking about the community, because education is very important. I'm married to an educator. It's very important in our house. And then you also talked about your wife. So it had me just thinking about this whole idea of what we feed ourselves through education and how important it is. So can you just talk a little bit about the impact that those particular things had on you? And now you're even writing a book so that you can help educate others in our community. Can you just talk a little bit about how important that is and how that affected you?
It's so important. You know, one of the things that's really frightening about our society now is that there are so many harmful influences, you know, for our minds and for our bodies.
Yes.
And it's so insidious, right? You don't necessarily know that things are harmful until it's too late. You know, I'll give you an example. I'm in Target today shopping with my 13-year-old daughter. She said, Daddy, I need some hair care products. She picks up a hair care product. I see it. I'm not familiar with it. I said, you know what? I'm going to buy it, but I need you to have your mom look at that to make sure it's safe to use. Because we've seen all these stories about Black women and uterine cancer because of hair products. You know, you think about food as well. There is so much garbage in the standard American diet. And it's funny, standard American diet, that acronym, it's SAD, SAD, right? And it's marked by, you know, large portion sizes, excess sodium, excess sugar. You know, this added sugar in pretty much everything that we eat, you know, and it's almost as if they don't want us to live long enough to collect Social Security, right? You know, you have to really work How hard is it to work to eat healthy in this country? It's real easy to eat unhealthy, you know. And the other piece is we've been taught to glorify the hustle. We've been taught to glorify chasing the money, and you know, particularly within a corporate context, you're chasing after this money and you're on the go. So let me grab and go. Let me grab and eat. And I don't really know exactly what it is that I'm putting in my body.
Yeah.
And I consider myself a well-read guy, but I was so ignorant about healthy eating.
Yeah.
I was so ignorant about understanding, okay, how much fiber do I need every day?
Yeah.
How much exercise do I need every week? What are the clean fats that I should be eating versus the unhealthy fats? What are the types of sugars that I should be eating versus the sugars that I need to stay away from?
That's right.
You know, so I really had to, you know, that content that the doctor gave me, you know, it set me on a path. And I'll be honest with you, you know, it's not easy, right? You know, it's you have to have a level of awareness. You have to be vigilant.
To be disciplined.
You have to be disciplined.
What I was thinking.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult, and it's frightening, because if you don't do these things, then you know, you might be on a path towards all sorts of unfortunate things in life. And it's not just with the food as well, Jay. It's also about what we ingest here and here. We're bombarded with garbage content from the minute we wake up to the minute we go to bed. Yeah, I'm ready to start sleeping with my phone like in another room.
Yes, I know.
Because like I'm addicted to Instagram.
Yep.
Hey, listen, yesterday I was watching, I think I did this for like an hour. I'm watching videos of people doing WWE wrestling moves in public places. So like dudes giving each other the pedigree on a car, like jumping off the roof, slamming each other. And I'm watching, and it's just like it's addictive. And
yeah.
But what is that doing to my brain?
Exactly.
And the next thing I know, it's an hour of my life wasted watch. And I mean, it's funny, you know, like,
it's so true. My husband and I were just talking about that this morning. It's like we're all addicted in some way to that phone, whether it's like whether it's social media, whether it's post, whatever it is, it kind of has us, right? It has us in this chokehold. And that's why I think it's so important that we talked about that piece of like what you are feeding your mind, what you're educating yourself with, because it's so much trash. And you have to make sure that you are arming yourself with the truth.
Yeah.
So whether it's the truth on what you're supposed to eat, whether it's politics, whether it's whatever it is, we have to make sure that we're arming ourselves with the truth, and we don't get caught up in all the noise. And then the quick and easy access to information, food, whatever, and just making sure you're doing that. Yes.
And Joni, you know what else? To just pull on that thread, we live in a very angry society now.
Yeah.
Like people are angry, and I think that content, you know, particularly the political stuff, it's like this outrage machine.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a whole nother discussion. We don't need to go down this wormhole, but you know, there are foreign forces that are focused on making sure we're divided.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're manipulating our feeds. So we've got to really be vigilant about what we're putting in here as well as in our bodies.
And there's so many things to be angry about. And so how are we channeling that in the right way?
And channeling
righteous anger. Right.
Well, hopefully they channeling it by watching the Easy Monday Motivation Crew, like and sign in and turn on the notification bell so they can be told when we rocking. But CT, I see that you had something you wanted to get in. So
yeah, we playing double judge. I think the part of this conversation, no, never apologize, Johnny. It's okay. A part of this conversation, though, I think speaks to where each of us are in our individual journeys. And the thing that kept coming up in the conversation as I'm hearing it is that we have to remember they don't call it a consumer for nothing. Right? We don't, even in the business, like we're not calling things or calling the people who receive the product and or service that we deliver. We refer to you. We might call you a customer, but you are a consumer. Yeah, and as you are consuming the thing, you're consuming that thing, if I can go here with us, is because you have some unmet need that is in your life. So because you have something that is unmet and you don't have an answer to how to meet the thing that has been unmet, you go find and search
Yeah.
for all the different things. And so then you get lost in something that, oh, it was good for me at this point, but as you continue to grow, that thing ain't good for me no more. And it could be what you watch, it could be what you eat, it could be who you hang around. But because we are consumers of things, because our bodies need nutrients, our mind needs nurture, like all of who we are needs something to be met within us. And so we go searching for that thing.
Yeah.
And when we find the thing that feeds it for that moment, whether or not it's good for us, if it feeds us for that moment, that's the thing that we become the consumer of, which is why it's so deeply important to be educated and understanding that sometimes the thing that you are consuming is because you got your heart broke. Sometimes the thing you are consuming, you just lost your job. Sometimes the conditions that are around us cause us to drive to something that we will need to consume that isn't actually good for us. And so we've got to be responsible to have the conversation that says, what is it that I am consuming? And why am I consuming it in that way at this time? And that level of reflection then gives, I think, permission for somebody like your doctor or your wife to say, you need to consume something different. Because what you're doing right now is actually creating a longer term thing that in the moment might be feeding it, but it may be causing some long-term damage that you don't even realize you have going on.
You don't realize, So.
And you hit it perfectly, CT. Like, we do have to almost like filter and look for the most natural things that we can consume that really serve the purpose of why we're consuming it, right? Like not always just accepting anything, or not really looking at the labels, if we're going to really call it what it is, right? You know what I'm saying? Just skipping past the label. Like, all right, cool. Now, I will say for myself, like, I don't know about y'all, but like that mascot, that blue mascot dude that be smacking people in the face with the pie, I will consume that for life. Hey, man. Hey, I'm sorry, man. That video get me every time. And then they done remixed it where they be to the beat like, bow, bow. I look, something about a whipped cream pie to the face. That's just me. But no, I definitely agree with all of the sentiments here when we talk about the importance of what we are consuming, who we're feeding, what we're being fed, and how we're focusing on the need for those feeds. You know what I'm saying? Like, if here we are with a podcast having this conversation, trying to feed people a perspective to have a conversation to grow from, right? Planting those seeds as we do, since we are motivation. Like, this is us trying to feed people in our way. Here we are going, Justin, we want to add your additional sides to the plate. So please come help feed people your message as well. So it's very important that we understand that we are also producers of what people will consume, even if it is infinitesimal into some people's mind. You have the ripple effect, the butterfly effect, to go out and make decisions that impact people, and you have no idea how long-standing what you say and what you do may have to somebody. So be very clear on what you eat, who you feeding, why you eating it, and what you putting into your body. And because I'm telling you, if you're not, to my man Justin's point, you may go and find your service check engine light on and all that. Like, man, like, I could swear everything was working over here. It's like, yeah, it's working, but it ain't working to the efficiency it should be running at. Okay, because I get it. So I want to make sure that we have enough time to pull to another conversation that's within this scope, because I want to ask Justin some questions and give you guys a chance to do some rapid fire questions to Justin as we round out this conversation, because I think this has been beautiful. So I'm gonna give CT and Johnny a few moments to think of some rapid fire questions to Justin. I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna ask a very fun question to give people a little bit more insight about some of the fun we just had. Now, I said earlier, and they were there. We were there in Miami in this conference. We were having a great time, and you were on this panel. And there was a gentleman who made this statement that I think it was well received or not well received when we were told that if we consume a certain substance or certain substances, we would not be granted the the titles that some people assume themselves to be. I'm not going to break it all down. As far as me and you know, it was broken down because it was almost a shot across the bow when you got a room full of people who had participated in an event the night before,
man.
where it was like, hey, as a part of this event, we're giving you this opportunity to go enjoy what would be called festivities that included inebriating substances and tobacco, right? Like then the next morning you come into a thing where somebody's like, if you do X, Y, and Z, you ain't a G, and you like.
And dudes were clapping for him when he said that.
Yeah, like no, I didn't clap. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a real man. You see, it says Scotch with E, right? And I was like,
that's a Suge Knight energy.
That's a Suge Knight energy.
I'm just saying, like, hey, to each his own, my brother. You are a neuroscientist, okay? That means you know a lot more about the brain than I do. Guess what? I don't think that was for me though. I don't think I got that lesson yet. You know what I'm saying? When I get it, I may remove the Scotch, but right now the AOC still stands for Agent of Chaos. And Scotch is still my favorite drink, and I'm gonna keep on that. So I'm a CT and Johnny. I want to see. Do you guys have any rapid fire questions for my man Justin as we wrap up, as we round out our conversation before we get into what would Grandma do? Are we doing those today? Because I know we do. And when we do guests, we don't always do those, but we gonna play. Okay, we gonna play. All right. So let's get some questions. Johnny, I'm gonna come to you first. See if you got questions because we let the queen go first.
Thank you very much. Okay, I just have an easy question. Justin, what are you listening to right now? What's on your playlist?
Oh, so I'm listening to Black Thought's album with Salam Remy.
Huh.
So I've been bumping that. I was bumping Jay-Z's album with Jay Electronica as well. On the drive here, I was listening to some Anita Baker.
Got it.
And then I also like listening to D'Angelo live. So on YouTube, D'Angelo's concert when he was at Bonnaroo like 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Fire. So those are some of the things that are like on rotation for me right now.
And what do you think that says about who you are?
I like good music.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I think we would agree.
And I like music that so the other thing I would say is I like music that stimulates thought. And we had this whole conversation about what it is that we ingest. Yeah. And I do talk in the book about consuming art. And I put music in that category is because when you consume art and not garbage, right? But stuff that's like quality, it can take your mind to different dimensions of reality and help you to tap into your imagination. And that imagination can kind of, unleash a new vision for what your future can be. And you can really, it's the closest a human being can get to heaven on earth, I feel like, when you're in that zone.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer.
All right, CT.
I got all kinds of questions. Justin and I, we gonna hang out here a little. Y'all sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. All right, so Justin, I am a father as well, and one of the things that I used to tell our kids was whatever you put in, whatever you listen to, whatever you read, whatever you watch, it is going to be a manifestation of what comes out of you. So I can always know where you are in your life based upon what's coming out of you. And I can ask a question. Oh, so what did you just watch? I always knew as a father. So as you think about not necessarily parenting advice, but as you think about that concept of how you are helping your children best understand how they consume, what they consume, and then your return to them when they don't, when you can recognize that they're not in the right place. Like, what do you talk to them about? How do you, again, I don't want to call it parenting because I feel like there's something that is beyond the concept of parent here. But what do you talk to them about? How do you share with them? What's your advice, wisdom, perspective with them?
Yeah. So it's a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
On the one hand, so I have a 13-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old son, a 3-year-old daughter, 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. And at this stage of their lives, I am setting up guardrails for them to keep them safe, right? So, for example, I told my 13-year-old daughter you're gonna hate me for this, but no social media for you, because I've seen the research on what it does to young girls and the perception that they have of their bodies, how dangerous it can be. And that's not a judgment. Some of my friends, have kids the same age, they let their kids be on social media, but I'm gonna be that dude. She has a cell phone and she might sneak around and look at TikTok on her friend's phone. I know she's doing that, but no social media for you. So I set up guardrails. But in raising these Black children, I also want them to be expansive in their thinking. I want them to be global in their thinking. So, my wife and I, we take them somewhere amazing for spring break every year. Last year, this past spring break, we went to Paris. The year before that, we went to Panama. I'm a first generation American from Panama. They got to meet some of their relatives in Panama. They've been all over the world, right? So I want them to be expansive in their thinking. I want them to have a sense of entitlement also. White children have a sense of entitlement. They just know that they are entitled to the best that this society has to offer. And I want my Black children to have a sense of entitlement, not in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
But like, you also deserve the best, right? And my wife and I, we joke about it, say we're raising some bougie ass kids, but
like Blackish.
I want them to be, aware of when you put in the work, the good that you can enjoy in this society of ours. You don't have to just accept degradation, right? Because on the flip side, many of our kids, they don't have that mentality, and there's a fear that a lot of us are under, that we've been under for generations, and I don't want us to backslide into that. I know we're in a different political environment, and it might feel like things are going backwards in some respects, but I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for any of our kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's dope.
That's good.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, so thank you so much for the conversation today, Justin. This has been amazing. Me and you already wrapped up. Look, I'm not gonna ask no questions because it would be like Suge Knight ask you questions. Me and you have enough conversations offline that we about to have. That doesn't mean we haven't Suge Knight conversations offline, guys. Just don't read into it. I know right now the comments is probably gonna go crazy. CT's probably going to be typing in the little comments when this actually is aired. So I'm preparing myself to know that he's stopping. So I'm preparing myself to defend myself for my future self, because my present self knows my future. So I'm going to kick it over to CT because I want to know, based on when we talk about what we're feeding ourselves and what we're feeding, what would Grandma have to say? I mean, what would Grandma have to say about this subject?
Thanks, E. Justin, it's again always good to see you, brother. And if you're not familiar, my 98-year-old grandmother always used to create acronyms for us. And for the 3 seasons that this show has been on, Grandma has had something to say. And in this season 3, Grandma would tell you before she gives you what she's gonna give you, sit up in your chair and listen up.
Yep.
Grandma would say that in the spirit of this discussion, Grandma would say, listen, you need to make sure you know what you feed yourself. The word today is going to be feed. She's only got 4 letters for you, but she got some power behind what those words are going to be. Grandma would say, in the spirit of what you feed yourself, you have to recognize what you're feeding yourself is your fuel. That's your first F. And if you can recognize what kind of fuel you are putting in, then you can know how you are going to go, or when you are off. In my car says unleaded fuel. If I go put diesel in my unleaded car, it's not going to function the way it needs to. And Grandma would say, if you don't know what kind of fuel you are feeding yourself with, you can fully expect that you are not going to function the way you need to. Then Grandma would say, if you're not giving yourself the right fuel, or on a more positive way, if you are giving yourself the right kind of fuel, Justin, she would say that's where you can elevate. I recognize that when I feed myself the right kind of fuel, I can go to that next level mentally. I can go to that next level psychologically. I can go to that next level physically. No matter where I can go, I can be like MJ when he was. Anyway, so what grandma says, when you want to feed yourself, when you've got the right fuel, you can elevate. And when you elevate, you know what it does? It expands your horizons. That's your second E. When you can expand your horizons, then nothing is impossible for you. Justin just shared with us, there's some things he does with his children that allow his children to see new geographies, to understand different circumstances and situations, so that no matter what they tend to go through, they won't go through without understanding that difference is the real fuel in our lives. And so when you can expand your mind, it challenges you to learn new things so you can grow in a new way. But Joni, here's the trick. If I've got the right kind of fuel that allows me to elevate in a way that expands how I think, I've got to be able to, and I couldn't decide which one I liked better. But I think in the context of this conversation, I think this is the word that goes here. Grandma would say, when you do all that well, that's when you truly develop. You can develop the right kind of perspective. So no matter what audience you're in front of, no matter what job you have, no matter what skill is in front of you, when you are giving yourself permission to fuel yourself in the right way, because you've elevated, because you've expanded your horizons, you develop into something that nobody can stop. Nobody can stop me. I'm all the way up. That's what the songwriter might have to say in that moment. And so when you think about what grandma will want you to understand, is that when you feed yourself right, there's nothing that is impossible for you. So make sure you got the right kind of fuel that allows you to elevate, and that elevation gives you the ability to expand. And when you're expanding, you're now developing in the right way. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandma, for laying it out with the feed. Grandma had to feed us a little bit today. I love when Grandma feeds us on a Sunday. So this is meal prep for Monday. Thank you, Grandma, for your meal prep. That's right. That's what we got for you. Now, you know, when we know what Grandma got, but Johnny, what you got?
Listen, okay. So see, you didn't get me as much as this time. I held on. I held on.
Well, that we didn't have the sound. We didn't have the sound.
That
was the delayed sound effect.
It was.
It's always the sound effect. It is.
Oh goodness. Last week when we were all together, which we have to do again. Last week we were all together. I said I was putting out a challenge about us. What are we consuming? What are we eating? So I'm hoping that folks will be more mindful. And at the end of the month, we'll talk about all of the weeks and what we come up with here. So this week, I want us to think about what we're listening to, right? In the spirit of me going to see Usher, maybe never coming back to Ohio. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Let's be mindful of the things we are listening to. But we talked a little bit about that in this episode. Just all the noise that's out here, right? All the noise, and it's so easy to get caught up in it. And oftentimes, just like what CT said, oftentimes what you're listening to is what you're looking for. When you're sad, you listen to sad music sometimes, right? When you're hopeful, you want to listen to maybe some gospel music, whatever it is. But just be mindful of the things that we are listening to, and let's always make sure that we're listening for the truth. So all throughout this week, take a listen at the things that we are consuming through our ears, because it feeds our spirit, it feeds our mind, and in turn, our behavior responds to that. So let's just be mindful of that as we head into Johnny's 44th birthday week. Just thought I'd throw that out there again.
Your Obama year.
Yes, it is. There we go. There we go.
You're 80, baby.
Sounds like to me, Johnny. You got it bad. Anyway, keep going.
That's my jam.
You know, it's funny because I think about it, like I'll be 44 next in March too. So like we all hitting that fun time. So this has been a great conversation, and you're 100% right, Johnny. Like I think paying attention to what we listen to is important. I'm gonna tell you a fun little story about a little quick conversation that I had on the airplane with the gentleman who was very, very distraught because they questioned the bag that he was trying to carry on his carry-on size. He was very upset about it. When he got onto the the seat in the, he was sitting in his seat before I got there, and I knew about his aggressive situation because I watched it, right? Because typically I keep my headphones on. Everybody knows, if you see me, E has his headphones on because that's my safe place. I put them on just so people won't talk to me, but people will still try to have a whole conversation. I'll be like, and I got pretty good at reading lips because people do it. I'll be like, all right, I know he just said good morning, how are you? Like, I could read it. But like, so I'm going to sit down in my chair and I automatically have my headphones when I get on the airplane because I don't want nobody talking. I don't want nobody messing with me. Now I'm getting on with a colleague of ours, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he back there, but he knows that the guy had the problem. And then I know the guy had the problem. And guess who I'm sitting next to? I'm sitting next to the guy with the problem.
Of course.
So I'm like, I don't know what this guy ever learned or ever knew about anybody in his life before he sat next to me, but I know that he learned how to really contain himself really fast. And that way, I know that I fed that man's ability to fall asleep real fast, because if he didn't, he probably would have been put to sleep real fast in that situation. So just, you know what I'm saying? Just know that certain seats, certain flights, I can be considered NyQuil, because that man chilled all the way out. It's like he was like, you know what? You're right. I don't have a problem now. I don't. I really don't. I'm gonna sit here and watch this movie and be quiet. I bet you will, sir. I bet you will. Because at first he started looking, he was like, you got my seat, you got my book. I looked at him, I was like, before I sit down, I always grab both my buckles and make sure everything's just before I even sit down. So I already know I had your buckle. So I buckled it. You got my buckle? I said, no, I don't. You need to check your stuff. That man sat straight. He pushed himself all the way against the wall as close as he could. Make sure he had all his space, and I had that extra little leg room because you're a bigger guy. You got to spread all the way out in the seat. I'm just
the Suge Knight energy.
There we go. Once again, it's showing.
You know what? But you know what though? You know what, Justin? You're right, because there are those moments where you do engage and you don't engage. So Cam, can you run that?
This is that you've gotten from artists like 50 or Cam and Jim Jones and these guys. Are you gonna body a crew on this album?
I'm trying to uplift the unity. Mm-hmm. So if I feed into it, we know what that is. Mm-hmm. When I battled, that was one of the biggest, if not the biggest battle in rap music. So we know it gave them a whole platform to stand on. So they standing on a platform I built.
Right. And what I loved about his responses, and like I'm paraphrasing, but what I loved about his responses, it was like, nah, because I'm trying to build unity. I'm trying to build something. And I know that by engaging with them, I'd be feeding into something that's not going to do that. Besides that, when I do go hard at things, and this is the most important part that I really pulled out of it. When I do go hard at things, it's impactful and it builds things. And I don't want people to be able to try to feed off of or destroy the things that I'm building that are impactful by feeding in to their negativity or their negative narratives. So your message from your AOC today is coming straight from, I would even call it the Book of Knowledge, right? Where I would just flat out just make it very plain to people to say, you are what you eat. If you eat trash, I'm not calling you a trash person, but you will produce trash results. If you do trash research, you will have trash discovery. You will always reap the things that you eat. That is why, as a person who is very, very for real and serious about consumption, a lot of times, especially when it comes to food, I literally most of the times want to touch everything that I eat. I almost want to know almost every element of the meal and what components of the recipe there is, so I can be aware of what's going into my body, because that's how important it is to know that you are what you eat, right? And then consuming your social media, consuming, what books you read, all of these things are what you're eating, like to CT's point of being a consumer. And then you go out in the world, and the example that I 100% tie all the way back to Justin's story is, you go out in the world and you've been sitting in a place like the fried chicken location. where all you've been doing is eating this one thing, and you start getting saturated, and your body and everything, and your soul, and your spirit, and your glow, and your light, and your gleam, and everything starts to get heavy because you've been eating something that is tearing you down and weighing you down and clogging all opportunity and shutting off all avenues for you because of what you're choosing to just constantly consume. There's no light that can get into these dark places. You ever been to a person's house that smokes cigarettes and they don't open the curtains and the stuff all the time? It's the darkest places in the world that we create by what we consume in those spaces. So let the light in. Eat healthy, make good choices, try to find good input. Don't stare at the sun, but go get some sun, touch some grass. I know people say that, but I mean, for real, go find good things to take in and find happiness and be motivated through those things that you take into your life. And that's your message from your AOC.
Come on, AOC.
So,
light in, AOC.
All right, so with all of that, I definitely want to come back to everybody. And Justin, I'm going to come to you first. Thank you again for being here, my brother. I want you to plug the book. Tell everybody the name of the book. Tell us what we can look forward to seeing it, and then also what final thoughts you have for our guests.
Yes. So the book is entitled "Company Men: A Wellness Guide for Black Men in Corporate America." It drops on February 4th, 2025. It'll be out in print, ebook, and audiobook. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be sure to share the link. And as far as a parting thought, E, you brought up a comment that the doctor that was on the panel with me at the event made about a bunch of the brothers went to the cigar and brandy experience the night before, and then he comes in and says, well, if you were drinking, I'm a neurologist, I'm gonna be treating you for dementia 10 years from now, right? Scared the bejesus out of a bunch of dudes. And the point I want to make here is this: it's okay to still live a little, okay? It's okay to still enjoy your life. Yes, I changed my diet up, but the week before I had to go for my follow-up appointment, my family and I were in Paris. And guess what? I ate croissants every single day because I'm in Paris, right? You have to live. It's okay to enjoy, but you have to understand balance. You got to understand moderation. Modern convenience has hijacked our pleasure-seeking impulses. We do seek out sources of fat, and we seek out sex, right, for biological reasons, right? We want these things because we're wired by nature for them.
Yep,
that's right. Modern convenience has hijacked a lot of that. But with all that said, it's okay to enjoy your life a little bit. It's okay to come together with your brothers and have a scotch and laugh and enjoy being in each other's presence. Because guess what? That fellowship also helps extend your life.
There you go.
Right.
All the endorphins that are getting released. So feel free to live a little, but just be mindful of balance. And to the Black men who are watching this, if you don't have a primary care physician, I want you to do the homework to find yourself somebody that you can be comfortable with. And it is a process. It's not an easy process, but I want you to go through the process because I ultimately want you to be healthy. And like all of us in your community, I want you to live because we need you. The movements start with men. I don't say that with any chauvinism either, right? We have our thing together. The black women are already killing it, okay? Y'all are.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when we start taking care of business, I mean, we're going to get a movement here, okay? And we're going to move our community forward.
Yes.
And it's not in a black supremacist way or anything like that. It's just about extending our lifespan so that we can be there to give to our community and to our families.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
That's good, bro.
Johnny, my liege, I'm going to come to you for your final thoughts.
Oh, man, I could have this conversation forever. This has been amazing. Justin, you came highly recommended by E and CT, and you did not disappoint, brother, not one bit. So it has been a pleasure meeting you. I cannot wait to read the book. Cannot wait to read the book. And maybe you'll even come back to join us once the book is out and we read it and we can
I would love that.
Yeah, let's have a discussion about it. That would be super dope. My heart is with the Black man. I was raised by one. I'm in love with one. I love sharing spaces with Black men. So I can't wait to dive in. And this conversation was everything, y'all. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. CT, what do you got, my guy?
Oh, so much that I want to say in this final thought. I think the thing that is most pressing is in some ways it does become a bit of a reminder and wake up call. Like I've got a doctor's appointment on Tuesday, right? And to check in and just in the reminder. Hold on. Let me just say this because I feel like this. I gotta say this. We have to be okay and be unapologetic to allow ourselves to be defined by however it is we want to be defined. And Justin, I deeply appreciate that you have a very specific message that you are speaking to a population who does define themselves as Black men and unapologetically saying we can help each other. We should help each other. We can support each other. Absolutely. And it's not a zero-sum game. It doesn't mean that we're not talking about anybody else. But in this instance, we aren't talking about you, but we can talk about you after we talk about us. And so in my final thoughts on this conversation, I am deeply appreciative for the fact that my man dedicated his life and time to say to me, yes, you are important. Yes. And I want to help you think differently about how you can be around. I know my wife wants me around. I know my kids want me around. I know this business that I'm about to launch is going to want me around. And so I've got to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And so there may be some things that I'm missing. And if truly the old adage, knowledge is power, I got some new knowledge I need to acquire from my brother. And I didn't have consciousness of some of the things, even though I have consciousness of them. I wasn't thinking about them in the moment, but I'm like, wait a minute. When I go see my doctor on Tuesday, I got some other things I need to make sure I'm asking.
There you go.
So I'm appreciative, bro, that you showed up and that you've given yourself permission to tell not just a story, but to be able to express an experience that many of us probably mirror in some ways, but maybe haven't read it in the way that you're going to lay it out. And so thank you for your contribution that you've provided and then coming on this program and giving us some life. And we absolutely going to have you back. So that's my final thoughts.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thanks for saying that, CT.
And that lunch that we got to share, bro, that was divine order, my brother.
Yeah. And listen, my final thoughts is that I know sometimes that I am literally living in my purpose, man. Like there's no way that I know that I'm not. Like there's like you ever just sit back and be like, the wind moves you, right? Even though all of it looks like a really planned schedule. All of it really looks like you're in control. Nothing prepared me for being able to sit with you and have that conversation, not knowing that me and you should have had that conversation for the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing the importance of being able to sit and have that conversation with you. So that my final thoughts is, man, don't be afraid to go eat as well, right? Because what you feed in yourself and what you being fed is important. But when you know there's somebody out there that you need to go see so you can consume some of the stuff that they got and you lock in, do it. Because that's what made that move. It was like, hey, I got to be here. I got to make sure this happens. You know, whatever happens, but I have to put my best foot forward and make sure that I show up in a space and be open to everything. And, you know, that's the way I've always been. And the moment I got there, I felt that way. I had so many great conversations. I left nothing behind. I mean, I was grabbing heads of other departments and other companies, and they was meeting me like, oh yeah, hey, what's going on over there? I'm like, hey, just because you feeling the vibe, now you want to jump on the ride? Look, man, now you don't want to know what's going on over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing my thing. Just mind your manners. But it was a magical moment to be able to sit there and have the conversation that we had, and it provided me so much more knowledge and understanding of the person that you are, that's why I was just like, yo, I gotta have you on. Like the timing, everything, like this is just a natural step. So I appreciate you, number one, for being open to join us and share, to really just be a voice for Black men, of course, you know what I'm saying? Because to your point, you know, there's not a lot of these books for us, you know, that specifically deal with the duality of the lives that we had, where we have to go in and sometimes, and I ain't gonna use the references, like, but y'all know Jangles and all the other depictions and you know, all of the other things that go with it, where you would call it something else, and you would be treated somewhere differently because you would do those things or whatever. Now we're in a space where we can have a conversation about that, and nobody can take our voice away. And before we didn't have that. So I commend everybody for all of the generational conversations that we've had behind closed doors that led to us to be able to have the conversations we're having out here in the public and to be able to feed everybody else with. So with that, I want to go ahead and lay out all of the fun things that I always say. So, you know, you can like, subscribe, comment, share everywhere. I looked on our RSS feed, man. We are on like 11 different places, man. I think we're on like this one podcast place. There's like 9 different podcast places. I got to pull up the list at some point and really read it off. But Apple Podcast, you know, Spotify, you know, we're on Podcast Nation. There's a bunch of different ones, but wherever you listen in, and you can listen to us or watch us live on YouTube or watch us on YouTube. So please like, subscribe, hit us with those 5 stars so we can show up in your algorithm, because we want to be able to be your motivation, because we are the EMM crew and we are motivation. So with that, you can just chill until the next episode. Peace, everybody. Have a good night.
Peace.
Peace.
Oh, yeah.